Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther the Third.
Hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther the Third, and I am honored to open the live part of Lucha Month dedicated to my lovely grandfather, Jose Quinonez, the Panther. Love you, Grandpa. Thank you for what you did in the business, and thank you for what because I made me love professional wrestling so much. But I have a young lady that is absolutely killing it on the independent wrestling scene. Introduce yourself, my returning guest. Reintroduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Pegasa. I was here about a year ago. We did this a year ago, just about for Lucha Month.
Yeah, wow, you returned to Lucha Month. That's amazing. Thank you again.
Yeah. No
thank
problem.
you again, Pegasa. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Awesome. So, what have you been up to since the last time we were in the studios?
I am definitely wrestling much more. So last year when we did this, I was only a couple months in at the time. So like I was still brand new to wrestling, still getting my footing underneath me. This year, since about February, has really kicked off. I've been like in California. I've been in Canada a lot. I even do midget wrestling now. I've been in Ohio and training under companies like AIW and things like that. So it's definitely been a busy year for me, but it's been great, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Wow, that's awesome, because I'm really proud of you. It's
Thank
so
you.
amazing to hear that you're doing so much. You just said you do midget wrestling or little people wrestling. What is it like to do that? Like, you're actually competing with them? That sounds like fun.
Yeah, so I wrestle for it's called Midget Wrestling Warriors. It's ran by Short C Sampson. And honestly, just a group of great people. They are always great to wrestle with, and it is so fun. And it is very lucha heavy, so I love that. So I get to work on my lucha style of wrestling that I don't get to work on at a lot of other companies, you know? So I'm always grateful for that.
Awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. Is there any other places in like the California area, the West Coast, that you have not had a chance to compete in, that you want to be there? You haven't competed yet?
Um, I would like to get into West Coast Pro, hopefully sooner rather than later. There's a couple of other places that are out that way. Like there's a lot of companies in California, and honestly, I would like to break into any of them. I feel like California is a very great spot for wrestling. And it's very great for lucha and any type of Mexican or traditional wrestler like that. It's the crowd loves it, and I don't know if it's the atmosphere out there or the environment, but it really is a great time. I have a great time every time I go out there.
Awesome. Are there like any wrestlers that you've been watching, luchador or just in general, like high flyers, that you've been watching on the scene from this year or like the past years that you really want to work with, that you haven't had a chance to like bump elbows with?
I would say there's a bunch of people. There's a couple newer people as well. Like I would love to wrestle Johnny Robbie. Gypsy Mac. I would really like to wrestle her. I feel like that would be a great match. I had just wrestled Lady Pink last weekend, and that was really fun. And then I wrestled Calentita, and she's from Texas, I believe. She was also really fun to wrestle. as far as like any wrestlers that I've just been watching, a lot of them actually aren't high flyers. Um, a lot of them are just hard hitters and great wrestlers in general. I'm just looking forward to whoever comes my way next, to be honest.
Is there any stipulation of a match that you have not done yet, Pegasa, that you want to do?
um, so I did a TLC match, so that was fun. Um, there's not really any type of match that I haven't really done other than like a mask versus hair or something like that, obviously. Um, so like I eventually would want to do something like that, but I'm not ready to do that quite yet. Um, but I'm pretty open to having almost any kind of match within reason, you know. Like I don't mind TLC matches. Even though tables hurt, I don't mind doing
Oof.
them. So they always are real fun, and my opponents are always real great when they're not putting me through a table. But it's still a fun time.
Yeah, with you coming up with your masks, did you ever think about doing like a hardcore match, or is that like too rough on the mask?
No, I would do hardcore matches. Yeah, I've been in a couple weapons matches, especially the past like 5-ish months or so. There's been a lot of times that I've been thrown into matches that have like 3 falls and it's street rules or things like that. So it's definitely been an option for me to do a hardcore match. It would just have to be like right opportunity, right time, right place. My masks are
Mm.
pretty sturdy, so I think they would hold up pretty well.
What kind of materials do you usually make your masks with?
So a lot of times it kind of just is dependent upon what's on sale. And then I also use like the vinyl for the designs and things like that. Vinyl usually is a little bit thicker for like the actual patterns on the mask. So if you're ever like looking to make a mask or anything like that, I would use the thicker material. That way it doesn't rip as easily. Because my first couple masks that I made, a couple of them had ripped because I wasn't using the thick material. I was using real thin material, and I was still learning how to do the stitching and adding the designs and all of that. Um, so then I had to like get templates offline and things like that and kind of figure it out on my own.
Is there any colors that you have not put in your mask yet?
Yeah, so I have a lot of masks. I don't always
I
wear
remember your
them
first
all.
one was blue.
My first one was blue. I have that one. I have this new black one. I have my pink one. I have a black and green one, which is actually my favorite mask ever. It reminds me of the
I wish you
Joker.
had them with you right now, Picasso, because I love showing the different masks.
Yeah, I have a couple of them. I have a purple one that I had last year that I'm kind of fixing up and adding decals to. So I'll be debuting the new version of my purple one soon, and that's also coming up with new gear as well. So pretty excited about that.
So do you have like a work, like dads have like a workshop in like on the side of the house that the kids are not allowed in? Is it like that? Like my mom has like a mom cave. My dad has the man cave outside the workshop. Do you have like a workshop in the garage where you stitch your like masks and stuff like that, or is it
Yeah,
like
so I actually have a whole crafting room. I used to make prom dresses for a while, so I would use that to make my prom dresses and things like that, and now I just use it to make my wrestling stuff. So that's kind of it's transformed from more of like my fashion studio into more of my wrestling room where I have like all my gear and all my masks, and if somebody orders masks or something, like it I make it in there. So yeah, I do have like a little craft room.
oh, that's awesome. Do
Yeah.
you ever like, I know like most people that make gear, they have like the mannequin bodies and then they have like the head on the side, like propped on the top and everything.
Mhm.
Do you have one of those yet? A
I
mannequin body?
do. Yeah. So like I said, I used to make like clothes and dresses and stuff back in a couple years ago because this was like I started making clothes when I was in high school. So
Wow.
it's been a while. I've been doing it for almost 10 years now. And I have all the mannequins, and I have 2 sewing machines, and I even have like a little portable sewing machine to take with me just in case something needs done immediately.
I remember my mom. I saw this. They have like a hand one. You click the button, it's like just in case you have to like be like has like a seam thing. You just go like up the seam and everything.
Yep.
Like, have you ever been backstage and there's a luchador's mask gets ripped during a match and they're like, we need someone to repair this. He's gonna be in a battle royal. He doesn't have another mask.
I have not. I don't think too many people know that I make my own gear. So I don't think a lot of people when I'm backstage know that like I have sewing kits and things like that on me.
Awesome. So like, is there any other states that you want to come to, like the East Coast? Is there anybody anywhere out there that you want to check out?
I want to get to the Carolinas eventually. That's my goal. Obviously any promotion in Florida, and I'm talking to a couple of them right now. Same thing with Texas. I'm looking to break into Texas early next year. So hopefully that all falls and it happens, you know. That would be my goal, is like my next big states or like some type of Carolinas, any other promotions in California, Florida, and Texas. I'm looking to break into the big ones. I was just in Iowa, which was a different experience because there's not a lot of wrestling in Iowa.
Really?
There's not a lot of wrestling in Iowa. No. Iowa is like, I didn't know much about Iowa until I showed up. And where I'm from, there's bigger airports. So, like, when you go to the airport, you have to get there 2 hours early to go through security and all that. Iowa, I got to Iowa, and there was probably like 14, 15 people in this entire airport.
Oh my gosh.
It was such a small airport, and it was just such a small like town. It was very charming, very cute little small neighborhood. And the show ended up being really great actually. So I definitely will be going back there. But there's not a lot of schools in Iowa. I think there's the only one that's in Iowa would be Seth Rollins School. And I think that's the only one that I can really think of off the top of my head.
My buddy Dave Dimensions is like, Iowa, tons of corn and not much wrestling.
There wasn't like, it's definitely not a wrestling state. But there was a lot of corn, there was a lot of farm, and it's a very, very small town.
Probably get some good Mexican corn there.
Maybe, yeah, maybe some elote.
Open up a nice Mexican restaurant that makes a lot of corn products.
It was actually funny being there because after my show, a lot of the fans had came up and talked to me, and all the fans were from like pretty much born and raised in Iowa because they didn't really seem to get out of Iowa. So they were just talking to me about like how small the culture there is. Like there's really not a lot there at all. And they were trying to get me to move there. They were like, if you ever retire and you need a place to retire, you should retire here. Very quiet town.
You're like, yeah, no, like, yeah, you'll be the queen there. Well, you'll be like that.
Actually, so with me growing up in the city, because I did grow up in a city, so I am very much looking forward to one day just owning a bunch of like land, and I want to have my own ranch. So that would be the ideal goal for me outside of wrestling, is to be able to get my own ranch and have like horses and cows and things like that. So I think that would be pretty cool.
You could always move to Iowa and then get some land. And then if you want to open up a little store in one of the little small towns, open up a gear making store. Like, you know what I mean? Like people make props.
Something small, yeah. It would definitely be an option for me. Many years down the road though.
I know there's like not many luchadors in Iowa. Like, you know, like
there's not many. A lot of the places that like I started, because I am on the East Coast, is that there's not a lot of lucha over here. Like it seems to be a lot of the lucha is either further south or it's on the West Coast. Like I maybe know 2 other luchadors, maybe 3, because there's one in Canada that I know of. But like as far as like luchador women, they're not based on this side of the states at all. A lot of them are on the West Coast or further down south. So it's definitely different for me to be a lucha this far east. I will say that there's not a lot of them.
I can't think of the name of the female wrestler from Canada. I can't think of her name, but I know she wears like a red mask with a tree. Is that the one?
I think her name's Maya.
Yeah.
I think we had talked about her. Yeah.
But dying to have her back on the podcast because she keeps popping up on my Instagram again. But I'm like, I'm the type of podcaster. If I message you once, you don't message me back. I'm not gonna be that guy.
Yeah.
So I get nervous. I don't want to be like annoying because there's podcasters that'll be like, nee, 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 nee. That's what it looks like. It's like tap, tap, tap. It's like, hey, can you? And then I know what you guys go through on the Instagrams. I know who you are, people. Joe Panther watches you from far, going, no, don't do that. That makes me look bad. No. Like, ugh. So, with you making your gear, um, have you ever had any wrestlers see your gear or see your masks and they go, "Hey, who did that?" And you go, "It was me." And have they ever like made orders with you?
Yeah, so I've had a couple people try to make orders. I try my best. If it's something really simple, I can do it. If it's a little bit more complicated, it's gonna take me a little bit longer. Just because I feel like the balance between like my everyday life and being a mom and being a luchador all at the same time is very hard to kind of balance out. So, like I have this one really good friend, Shelby Wilder. If part of his gear, a lot of times, because he just does crazy things in the ring, a lot of his times, like part of his gear will rip or something, and then I'll be like there to sew it and everything. But outside of like as far as making gear, I have thought about it, just making it for more wrestlers and kind of opening my books. So we'll kind of see where 2026 takes us. Um, as far as me opening my books back up to making wrestlers gear again. So if I had the time, like I wouldn't mind getting a couple pairs of gears made in a month for a couple other people. So that would be great.
Awesome. So when you do go on your little trips to the different areas, what do you have in the car, and what's on the playlist, and what's in the cooler?
So if I'm driving, there's definitely I have meal preps. I do meal prep. So it's mostly some type of meat, and rice and some type of vegetable usually. I always have protein powder on me. Things like that. I always have my vitamins, always, always, always. And I need to have at least a gallon of water. Um, Now, as far as playlist goes, I can listen to any and everything pretty much. Um, it kind of just depends on who's in the car with me because a lot of times if I go with like trainees or other wrestlers, I let them kind of have control of it because I will listen to almost any type of music. I grew up with a plethora of music, so many, many different artists, many different genres of music. So I'm kind of used to whatever. Um, and that kind of is just pretty much what's in the car other than like gear. And that's I'm very strict on my diet, especially like lately, because you got to lock in sometimes. That's what I'm trying to do right now. So and the holidays
Yeah,
are coming up, so my diet's going to go out the door very quickly.
yeah. It's difficult because when you're on the road, as you do, you prep. There's some wrestlers that just maybe make like two sandwiches before they leave, and it's you just no. That's difficult because there's all these fast food places, and maybe you'll find like one or two really good mom and pop places, but then that's still fast food. But
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm not picky with it when it comes to food, but as far as like staying on my routine, especially if I am traveling, I try as much as possible. Now, if I'm flying, because a lot of times, especially recently, I have not been driving. I've been flying, and that's much harder to do. I'll still take like my protein powder with me because you can check it at the airport and everything. As far
mm,
as my meal preps goes, sometimes that could be a little bit harder to do. Just because you increase your chances of like this getting searched and things like that if you're bringing like hot foods into the airport. Now they'll let them through, but I don't always get a chance to take my meal preps with me through the airport, especially because a lot of times I won't have room in my bags.
yeah, that's difficult because you have all your gear, the masks all in the bag. Do you keep your gear all in one bag, like the wrestling masks and the the different color outfits, or is there different suitcases with like the merch and your gear?
I have different bags for everything. Yeah. So I have my merch is a whole separate bag, and then I have my everyday clothes for when I'm traveling, and like my like toiletries and toothbrush and stuff like that, and all that fun stuff. And then I have my gear, which is actually my biggest bag. I don't take all of my gear with me at one time though. Just because anything could happen, like airports lose luggages or anything could happen, you know. So I always like to keep I take like 2 or 3 pairs of gear each show, and then my different shoes and things like that. And then I keep the rest at my house just in case anything happens.
Mm. What is the craziest story you've ever had on the road?
The craziest story?
Yes, like when it comes to traveling, anything crazy?
Um, Nothing too crazy. This one time I had gotten a ride with a trainee. These two trainees drove me to a show. This was like end of last year, I want to say, and it was right outside of Chicago. And their car actually got broken into.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was real rough. And like we had parked in a very like lit up parking lot. Like there was cameras and everything. So like when their car was broken into, the people who did it must not like have really cared. They probably didn't. But they had stuff missing, but somehow my wrestling stuff was still in the vehicle.
What?
So I was happy about that, and I was very happy that I did not hold a belt at that time, because the belt would have gotten stolen and I would have been very upset.
Mm. Oh geez.
I hear
Did you
that
did
from
any of
a
your
lot of wrestlers that
oh
like if they have their belt with them, like a lot of places, like cars get broken into and things like that, and like that's the first thing that people will steal is the belts.
yeah, you could sell it. They could sell it for
Yeah,
stuff.
pretty much. I guess that's their thought process, but I don't know. I was just grateful that my stuff was there and all of their important stuff was there, luckily. So,
Mm. Whew. Hear that, fans? If you're a wrestler and you're watching this, don't leave your belt in the car.
no,
Don't leave-
definitely don't. Be
take your
very
belt.
cautious of that.
You're in a hotel, take it in with you. Don't think I'm just gonna leave it in the car because I don't want to lose it in the hotel room. Idiot. Take it in the car. And if you're speaking, I'm gonna say this in Spanish. If you know Spanish, pendejo, pendeja. Bring the belt with you. They're like, what's they're all looking. I can see all the white kids watching this podcast that I work with. What's a pendejo? Hey, don't worry, I've been teaching all the girls I work with in my kitchen what the pendeja means. Like, you could see me in the. I'm sitting there in the break room on my breaks. Pegasa. I'm like, girls, look up pendeja, and the girls are like, "What's a pendeja?" Really, Joe? I'm like, what? You just call me a stupid, and I'm like, I didn't call you stupid. I'm teaching you how to say stupid. Different. Not calling you, but I've heard you say pendeja, and I'm like, but it wasn't to you. um, what is who has been your toughest opponent?
Oh, that's a hard one. I honestly I don't know. I would say either uh probably Lady Pink, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
When I wrestled her, she was very like it was very hard hitting. And I'm all for that for sure. But it was a very strong match, and she did a great job, and it was just me and her just kind of going back and forth, and I honestly loved it. So that was a
Mm,
fun time. And now this was a triple threat, so Calentita was also in there, and she did a great time too. I honestly think that's one of my favorite matches so far. So it was definitely a good time. And then always like Zoe Sky,
mm.
great match every time I wrestle her. So
Was there a lot of chops in this match against Lady Pink?
there actually wasn't. I think I got chopped maybe twice. There wasn't a lot of chops. There was a lot of kicks though. I took a couple kicks to my face.
Oof.
So that was a rough time. I was feeling a little rough after, but I just went to the hotel and went straight to bed. So that
Look,
was, yeah, it was definitely a rough time. I definitely got bruised up a little bit. Like I said, she was just hard hitting, and but like it was a really good match. I really enjoyed the match itself. So they both were great in it. So I'm grateful for that.
I guess the next day when it was travel day, because for you as a wrestler, that there's always the wrestling day and then your travel day. Do you ever like try to not do anything the few days after the show, except you are traveling? So do you ever have like the rest day and then the next day would have been the work day, the real life work day, and you just say, I need a day so they understand, so you're not gonna be like at work going all like, what happened to your face? Why is it black and blue? I fell down every step. Like,
No, so like a lot of times I try to avoid the bruises if they're on my face. If they're like I my chest was chopped open by Kate Zell. She's another lucha. She's a Mexican wrestler. She's great. I met her through the midget wrestling. She had chopped open my chest the one day, and I now have a scar in the middle of my chest from her chops alone.
oof.
She hit me with about three chops, and it split open. My chest split open on the second chop, and then the third chop, I just bled. Um, so I try to hide things like that if they can be hidden with like shirts and things like that. A lot of times my face doesn't really get bruised too bad, and if it does, it's only like my cheekbone or something little. Like I busted my lip a bunch of times. So people generally don't ask questions; they just let me go.
Oh, geez. I think I'd be the one like, so what happened? Did you were you digging or would you like doing something? And then you'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, mm-hmm.
There's
Ignore it, Joe.
there's some people that ask the questions for sure. I get some of those questions in my everyday life, and a lot of people when I tell them that I'm a professional wrestler, they kind of just look amazed, like you're so little and like, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm a professional wrestler, yeah. So I think
Oh,
it's funny when I tell people that because they definitely are shocked.
I laugh because I like I see. I know you guys probably go through it a lot. Like when you're going through TSA and they some reason something on your mask goes off and they have to open the suitcase and they see the masks. Do you have to ever explain to TSA what you do for a living?
Yeah, so there's been a couple times, especially when I go to Canada. Anytime I travel to Canada, especially if I fly, they they always question each luchador that goes to the airport. Um, every single time I get stopped and they have to search me, and then they ask like all these questions like, why do you have these masks and stuff like that? Like, what are you doing and why are you here? And then I have to explain like, yeah, I'm a wrestler. I'm a luchadora. So like I have my mask and usually luckily though, any company that I wrestle for in Canada usually gives me like border papers, so I give it to the border patrol officer, and then they understand that like, oh, I'm here to wrestle, and so they usually don't give me too hard of a time. It's much harder to fly into a different country than it is to drive. That's what I've
Mm.
noticed.
Have you ever thought of traveling out of the country, like to like the UK or Australia or something like that?
Yeah, so I've actually been trying to put together a little tour. I'm hoping for next year at some point. That would be the goal, is to kind of get over to the UK. I have a bunch of companies that my good friend, he's a wrestler. He had sent me a whole list of companies out there to reach out to because he had wrestled for them for a little bit, and so he's trying to get me out more for sure. So I'm just trying to reach out to these companies and hopefully we'll see what happens.
Well, there's one in the UK that I suggest you trying to get into. They're called LWF.
Okay.
They're really awesome. They have really good women's division. There's a female wrestler there called Maddie Morgan that is really good, and she's very young. She's like 18,
Okay.
and I watch this girl wrestle, and I'm just like, wow. Like, wow, she's really, really good. And they don't have many luchadors in that promotion. I think you'll light up the sky there, Pegasa.
Huh.
Trust me. The British fans, you impress them once, and they're like, can she come back? Like,
That's what I've heard about like the UK and wrestling over there in general. I heard that the fan base is totally different than it is here, and it's honestly just a good time. So I'm looking forward to going over there, hopefully within the next year here.
Well, if you had a chance, when you're done with me, go on the Instagram, the LWF, and drop him a message like, "Hi, I'm Pegasa. I'm a luchador. Joe Panther the Third told me about you guys, and see what you could do. It'd be so
Yeah,
cool.
that would be cool. Yeah, I would love that.
Awesome. So, Pegasa, if my fans want to pick up any merch from you, where can they find it?
Um, I don't have a website or anything, so a lot of times it is just come to the shows I'm booked on. If you can't make it to the shows, if you send me a message, I try to get back. Um, and I can like send you my information for like buying shirts and stickers and things like that. I do have a couple masks that are getting ready to go up for sale. I'm working on getting a website, so hopefully by December I'm looking at having my own website. And then like pro wrestling tees, my t-shirts and everything will be up there within the next month.
Awesome. Because if any of my fans want to see you live at a show, do you have any upcoming shows?
So this weekend I'm mostly in Ohio. This weekend is Old Wrestling. I don't know if you know what Old Wrestling is. I feel like it would be right up your alley. You would love Old
Oh, wow.
Wrestling. Old Wrestling is it's an old timey show. So like you have these old timey gimmicks like with these big characters like there's characters named like Grease and Grime and things like that, and they're like mechanics from like the 1950s. So
Oh,
it's a really cool show. I don't know if you know much about like Marianne Fontaine. Yeah,
sounds familiar.
he runs it actually, and it's just a sick promotion. It is so different from everyday wrestling that you see, and it really is like you're time traveling back to these time periods on this show. You truly are, and it's honestly one of the best shows I've been on. It is so fun, and it is such a good time. And
Do you have a different character on the show, or is it the same
so
Pegasa that we see?
I'm still me. Yeah, I'm still me. I'm just very old timey. So like the big red lipstick and the curly hair, and like if you picture like a 1950s black and white movie with a luchador in it, that's kind of like what I go for there.
Okay, cool. I was thinking you had like a different style mask. Like your mask is almost like it's almost like what's his name? Robin. Like he covers your eyes. He's like, I'm old school Picasa. Like before they made
No,
masks.
so my gear for there is different. I do wear different gear for there, but my masks tend to stay the same. But my gear
Okay.
is much different.
I can imagine you're like Picasa, but that's like I can see the top of your head, but I'm wearing a mask, right? Ooh. Like,
Yeah. It's a really good show, and honestly, you should check it out. I feel like it would be right up your alley there.
yeah.
It's a
I
great
love old
time.
school stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
if
it's so
ever in
different.
Ohio, I definitely have to check it out. That sounds like
Yeah. Yeah, he travels more I know he's been to like West Virginia a couple of times. I know he tends to stay in this area for that show, but he definitely runs a lot in different parts of Ohio. So check him out for
okay.
sure.
How much do you know how much tickets are if anybody is watching that's in Ohio that wants to go?
I want to say tickets are pretty much normal indie show range. I think it's like $20 for general admission, and for like front row, it's a little bit more, things like that. I don't know the exact price, but they do have a wrestling Instagram and Facebook and all that. It's just Old Wrestling, and that's old with an E at the end.
Okay, cool. But guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast again to help me open Lucha Month, the live edition, because I'm gonna have some pre-recorded episodes. But definitely, if you have any wrestling friends that would like to come on the podcast this month, Luchador Punch, please tell them about Dudes the Ringside. I would definitely like to have more of your friends. Tell Miss Lady Pink about me too. I definitely would love to work with her as well.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pegasa. I'm Joe Panther the Third,
And I'm Pegasa.
and we will catch you in the next one.